It's Friday night. Your phone buzzes with invitations. Friends are heading out. The world is moving. Everyone seems to be somewhere doing something. And you're already in your favorite spot. Maybe it's the corner of the couch. Maybe it's your bed with a book. Maybe it's just standing in your kitchen in complete silence, finally breathing. And for a moment, you wonder if something is wrong with you. Why does staying home feel so good? Why does the thought of going out sometimes feel like a weight pressing on your chest? Why do you feel most alive in the very place others use only to sleep? If this sounds familiar, don't scroll away, because what I'm about to share may change the way you see yourself forever. You are not boring. You are not broken. You are not missing out on life. According to Carl Jung, one of the most brilliant minds in the history of psychology, your love of home may reveal something extraordinary about who you are. Traits that most people never develop, qualities that society overlooks but desperately needs. Today I'm going to walk you through 7 unusual traits that define people who genuinely love staying home. Not the stereotypes, not the jokes about being antisocial, the real psychology, the deep hidden reasons why your soul feels most at peace within your own 4 walls. And I'll warn you now, some of these traits might surprise you. Others might finally explain feelings you've carried your whole life but could never put into words. So settle in, get comfortable. You're already exactly where you need to be. Before we begin, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment. Do you love staying home? Does the outside world sometimes feel like too much? I want to hear your story. Trait 1. You have an unusually rich inner world. Let's start with something most people will never understand about you. When you're home alone, you're not doing nothing. You're not wasting time. You're not being lazy or unproductive. You are traveling. Except your journeys don't require a passport or a plane ticket. They happen inside. You think, you imagine, you remember, you process. You create entire conversations in your mind, replay moments from the past, and vision futures that haven't happened yet. You analyze, you wonder, you dream, and all of this happens in what looks to the outside world like someone just sitting on a couch staring at a wall. Carl Jung understood this deeply. He believed that some people are oriented primarily toward the outer world. They need stimulation, activity, interaction. Their energy flows outward and they are replenished by external experiences. Jung called this extroversion. But others are oriented inward. Their richest experiences happen inside themselves. Their energy flows into the depths of their own psyche, and they are replenished not by parties or crowds, but by solitude, by quiet, by time alone with their own thoughts. Jung called this introversion. And here is what most people misunderstand. Introversion is not shyness. It is not social anxiety. It is not a fear of people. It is a fundamentally different relationship with reality. For the introvert, the inner world is just as real, just as vivid, just as meaningful as the outer world. Sometimes more so. Think about it. When you love staying home, what are you really doing? You're choosing the inner world over the outer world. You're saying that what happens inside you is valuable enough to deserve your time and attention. You're honoring a part of yourself that society often dismisses, and that inner world, it is not empty. It is vast. Jung spent years exploring the depths of the human psyche. He discovered that beneath our everyday consciousness lies an entire universe. Memories, symbols, archetypes, dreams, fears, desires, forgotten experiences, inherited patterns from generations past. All of this lives inside you. And when you sit quietly at home, you are not avoiding life. You are exploring an inner landscape that most people are too distracted to ever visit. This is your first unusual trait. You have access to a world that others rush past. You know how to be alone without being lonely because you are never truly alone. Your inner world is populated with thoughts, images, questions, and discoveries. It is a place of endless fascination, and you have learned to value it. Some people need to travel to the other side of the planet to feel alive. You can feel alive sitting in your living room with a cup of tea, watching the light change as the afternoon fades. That is not a limitation. That is a gift. But there is a danger here, and Jung would want you to know it. The inner world can become a hiding place. It can become an escape from the challenges of outer life. If you retreat inward only to avoid what frightens you, then your solitude becomes a prison rather than a sanctuary. The key is balance. The key is knowing when your time at home is nourishing your soul and when it is allowing you to avoid necessary growth. The person with a rich inner world must also learn to bring that richness outward, to share it, to connect it with others, to let it touch reality. But if you are someone who genuinely loves being home, who feels most alive in quiet solitude, take heart. You are not missing the richness of life. You are experiencing it in a different register. You are tuned to a frequency that most people cannot hear. And what you find there, in the silence of your own company, is real and valuable and worth protecting. Trait 2. You are deeply protective of your energy. Have you ever noticed how exhausted you feel after certain social interactions? Not physically tired, but drained in a way that sleep doesn't fix? You come home from a party, a dinner, even a simple conversation, and you feel emptied, like something has been taken from you that you didn't agree to give. This is not weakness. This is not social failure. This is your psyche telling you something important about how you function. Jung understood that psychic energy is real. It is the fuel that powers your thoughts, emotions, creativity, and presence. And just like physical energy, it can be depleted, it can be wasted, it can be stolen. For some people, social interaction generates energy. They walk into a room full of strangers and walk out feeling more alive than when they entered. The presence of others charges their batteries. They are energized by external stimulation. But for others, social interaction costs energy. Every conversation requires an expenditure. Every interaction demands something from the reserves. This is not because these people are flawed or antisocial. It is simply how their psychic economy works. They spend energy in social settings and replenish it in solitude. If you love staying home, there is a very good chance you belong to this second group. And your preference for home is not a random quirk. It is a sophisticated self-protective mechanism. Your psyche knows that home is where you recharge. It knows that too much external stimulation will drain your reserves and leave you depleted, irritable, and disconnected from yourself. So it pulls you towards solitude. It whispers to you on Friday night, stay in, protect yourself, you need this, and you should listen, because that whisper is wiser than you might realize. Jung spoke extensively about what he called the persona. The persona is the mask we wear in social situations. It is the version of ourselves we present to the world. The polite self, the professional self, the friendly self, the self that knows what to say and how to behave. The persona is necessary. Without it, we could not function in society. We need to be able to adapt our behavior to different contexts, to meet social expectations, to interact smoothly with others. But the persona is not who you really are. It is a performance, and every performance costs energy. When you are out in the world, you are constantly managing your persona, choosing words carefully, monitoring your expressions, tracking how others perceive you, making small adjustments to fit the situation. All of this happens mostly unconsciously, but it is happening nonetheless, and it is exhausting. Home is where you can take off the mask. Home is where you can take off the mask. Home is where you can stop monitoring yourself and simply exist. No audience, no expectations, no performance. This is why home feels like relief. This is why walking through your front door after a long day feels like setting down a heavy weight. You have been carrying your persona all day, and now you can finally put it down. People who love staying home understand this intuitively. Even if they have never articulated it, they know that their energy is precious. They know that social interaction, while sometimes enjoyable, always comes at a cost, and they have learned to protect themselves. This does not mean you should never go out. This does not mean you should isolate yourself completely, but it means you should honor your energy as the finite resource it is. It means you should be selective about how and where and with whom you spend it. It means you should not feel guilty for saying no to invitations that will leave you depleted. The world will tell you to push through, to be more social, to stop being so sensitive. But Jung would tell you something different. He would tell you that your sensitivity is a form of intelligence. Your awareness of your own energy is a sign of psychological maturity. Your preference for home is not a problem to be fixed. It is a solution you have already found. Protect your energy. Guard your solitude. Your psyche knows what it needs. Trust it. Trait 3. You have a strong connection to your authentic self. Here is something that might seem paradoxical at first. The more time you spend alone, the more you discover who you really are. Think about it. When you are with others, you are constantly adapting. You adjust your tone, your opinions, your behavior to fit the social context. You become, to some degree, what the situation demands. This is normal, this is human, but it also means that in social settings you are never fully yourself. It is only in solitude that the real you emerges. It is only when the audience disappears that you can stop performing and simply be. And this is why people who love staying home often have an unusually strong connection to their authentic self. Jung called this authentic core the self with a capital S, not the everyday ego that manages your life and pays your bills, but the deeper center of your being, the part of you that exists beneath the roles you play, beneath the masks you wear, beneath the identities you have constructed. The self is who you are when everything else is stripped away, and the self can only be discovered through what Jung called individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are, the journey of integrating all the scattered parts of your psyche into a coherent whole, the lifelong work of aligning your outer life with your inner truth. Individuation does not happen at parties. It does not happen in meetings, or on social media, or in endless conversations about nothing. It happens in silence. It happens in solitude. It happens when you are alone with yourself, facing yourself, asking yourself the questions that matter. Who am I really? What do I actually want? What do I believe when no one is watching? What parts of myself have I hidden or denied? What is my life actually about? These are not comfortable questions. They require courage to ask, and even more courage to answer honestly. But they are the questions that lead to authentic selfhood, and they can only be explored when you are alone. If you love staying home, you are giving yourself the time and space that individuation requires. You are creating the conditions for self-discovery. You are doing the inner work that most people avoid their entire lives. And here is the result. People who spend significant time alone tend to know themselves better than those who are always surrounded by others. They have clearer values, more defined boundaries, a stronger sense of what they want and what they refuse to accept. They are less swayed by trends, less susceptible to peer pressure, less likely to lose themselves in relationships or groups. This is not arrogance, this is groundedness. This is what happens when you actually spend time with yourself instead of constantly running toward external stimulation. Jung believed that most people never achieve true selfhood. They live their entire lives identified with their persona, with the roles society assigns them, with the expectations of others. They never discover who they really are beneath all the layers. They die without ever having truly lived as themselves. But the person who loves staying home is already on a different path. They have already begun the journey inward. They have already started to separate their true self from the false selves they have constructed. And even if they do not consciously understand what they are doing, their soul knows. Their psyche is guiding them toward integration, toward wholeness, toward the person they were always meant to be. This is your third unusual trait. Your love of home is not a retreat from life. It is a commitment to authentic living. It is a daily practice of returning to yourself, checking in with yourself, staying connected to your own truth in a world that constantly tries to pull you away from it. You know who you are, or at least you are actively discovering who you are. And that is more than most people can say. Trait 4. You are highly sensitive to your environment. Walk into a room and notice everything. The lighting, the sounds, the smell, the energy of the people present, the subtle tension in the air, the way the space feels, not just looks. This is what it means to be highly sensitive to your environment. And if you love staying home, there's a good chance this describes you. Jung did not use the modern term a highly sensitive person, but he understood the phenomenon deeply. He recognized that some people have nervous systems that are more finely tuned than others. They pick up on subtleties that others miss. They are affected by stimuli that others do not even notice. They experience the world at a higher resolution, with more detail, more nuance, more intensity. This heightened sensitivity is a double-edged sword. On one side, it gives you access to richness that others cannot perceive. You notice beauty that others walk past. You feel depths of emotion that others never reach. You understand people on levels they do not even understand themselves. Your sensitivity makes you perceptive, empathetic, and attuned to the hidden dimensions of reality. On the other side, it makes you vulnerable. Loud noises feel louder to you. Crowded spaces feel more overwhelming. Negative emotions in others affect you more deeply. You absorb the energy of your environment in ways that can be exhausting and destabilizing. What others experience as mild discomfort, you may experience as genuine distress. This is why home becomes so important. Home is the environment you can control. You choose the lighting. You choose the sounds. You choose who enters and who does not. You arrange everything to suit your nervous system, to create the conditions under which you can relax and flourish. Out in the world, you are subject to constant assault, noise, crowds, chaos, unpredictability. Your sensitive system has to work overtime just to cope. But at home, the assault ends. The stimulation drops to manageable levels. Your system can finally rest. This is not fragility. This is not weakness. Jung would have recognized this as a different way of being in the world, one that comes with its own gifts and its own challenges. In Jungian terms, your sensitivity might be understood as a strong connection to the unconscious. The unconscious is always perceiving, always processing, always taking in information that the conscious mind filters out. Most people have thick filters. They are aware of only a small fraction of what their unconscious perceives. But some people have thinner filters. More gets through. They are more in touch with the subtle currents of reality. This is why you know things you cannot explain. This is why you sense moods before they are expressed, conflicts before they erupt, danger before it arrives. Your unconscious is more present in your conscious life than it is for most people, and that presence is both a gift and a burden. Loving your home is a way of managing this burden. It is a way of creating a sanctuary where your sensitive system can recover. It is a way of protecting the gift so that it does not destroy you. And there is something else. Jung believed that the home itself holds symbolic power. It represents the psyche, the inner self, the soul. Each room corresponds to a different aspect of who you are. The basement is the unconscious. The attic is the higher mind. The living areas are the parts of yourself you share with others. The private rooms are the parts you keep hidden. When you love staying home, you are not just protecting your nervous system. You are tending your soul. You are taking care of the inner house that is your own psyche. You are making sure that your inner space is as comfortable and nourishing as your outer space. This is your fourth unusual trait. You feel everything more intensely than others, and you have learned that home is where you can feel safely, where you can process what you have absorbed, where you can return to equilibrium. Your love of home is an act of self-care at the deepest level. Trait 5, you have a natural tendency toward reflection and meaning-making. Some people live life on the surface. They move from experience to experience without pausing to ask what any of it means. They are busy, active, always doing but rarely reflecting. They consume life without digesting it. You are different. You cannot help but reflect. Every experience becomes material for contemplation. Every conversation lingers in your mind, turning itself over, revealing new facets. You are always asking why, always searching for meaning, always trying to understand at a deeper level. This is not a choice you made. It is simply how your mind works, and it is one of the most significant traits that defines people who love staying home. Jung called this the search for meaning, and he believed it was one of the most important drives of the human soul. Not just the need for survival, not just the need for pleasure, but the need to understand, the need to make sense of existence, the need to find significance in the chaos of life. For some people, this need is weak or dormant. They do not require meaning to be happy. They can enjoy life without understanding it. But for others, meaning is essential. Without it, life feels empty, mechanical, pointless. They cannot simply live. They must understand why they are living. If you love staying home, there is a good chance you belong to this second group. Your time alone is not just rest. It is not just recovery. It is also reflection. You are thinking about your life, your relationships, your choices, your experiences. You are trying to make sense of everything. You are weaving the raw material of existence into a coherent narrative. This is deep work, and it requires conditions that the busy external world does not provide. Reflection requires silence. It requires space. It requires freedom from interruption. You cannot think deeply while being constantly stimulated. You cannot search for meaning while distracted by noise. The reflecting mind needs stillness, and home provides that stillness. Jung himself was a great lover of solitude. He built a tower in Bollingen, Switzerland, a simple stone structure with no electricity or running water, where he would retreat to think, to write, to reflect. He understood that certain kinds of inner work cannot be done in the midst of ordinary life. They require withdrawal. They require a sacred space apart from the demands of the world. Your home is your bolonin. It is the place where you do your reflecting, your meaning-making, your psychological digestion. It is the place where experiences are transformed into understanding, where events become wisdom, where life becomes meaningful. And this meaning-making is not trivial. Jung believed that a meaningful life is the only antidote to suffering. Not pleasure, not success, not even love, but meaning. When life has meaning, we can endure almost anything. When life loses meaning, even comfort becomes unbearable. By taking time to reflect, by searching for significance, by asking the deep questions, you are doing something essential for your psychological health. You are not wasting time. You are creating the foundation for a life that can withstand whatever comes. This is your fifth unusual trait. You are a natural philosopher. Even if you have never studied philosophy, you are a natural seeker. Even if you have never consciously embarked on a spiritual path, your mind cannot rest until it understands, and your love of home provides the conditions under which understanding becomes possible. Trait 6, you have a complicated relationship with the collective. Here is something that might be difficult to admit. Sometimes you feel like you do not quite belong, like there is something slightly different about you, like the world everyone else inhabits is not quite the same world you inhabit. You can play the game, you can go through the motions, you can participate in society and fulfill your roles and interact with others successfully. But somewhere deep inside you feel a distance, a separation, an awareness that you are not quite like everyone else. This is not arrogance. You do not think you are better than others, but you do feel different, and that difference has shaped your life in ways both visible and invisible. Jung had much to say about the relationship between the individual and the collective. He recognized that society exerts enormous pressure on every person to conform, to fit in, to adopt the beliefs, values, and behaviors of the group. This pressure is not always conscious. It operates through culture, through expectations, through subtle rewards and punishments. It shapes us before we even know we are being shaped. Jung called this the collective, and he warned about the dangers of losing oneself in it. When we identify too completely with the collective, we lose touch with our individual soul. We become a copy of a copy, living a life prescribed by others, thinking thoughts that are not really our own. We become what Jung called mass man, a person with no real individuality, no authentic self, no inner life worth mentioning. People who love staying home often have an instinctive resistance to the collective. They feel uncomfortable in crowds. They are skeptical of trends. They do not easily adopt the opinions of the majority. Something in them insists on thinking for themselves, on forming their own judgments, on maintaining a separate identity even when it would be easier to conform. This is not alienation. It is individuation. It is the soul's insistence on being itself rather than disappearing into the group. But it comes at a cost. The cost is that you sometimes feel like an outsider. You watch others bond over shared experiences, shared opinions, shared enthusiasms, and you feel that you cannot quite participate in the same way. You are in the world, but not entirely of it. You participate in society, but maintain a certain inner distance. Home becomes the place where this distance dissolves. At home, you do not have to manage your relationship with the collective. You do not have to monitor how well you are fitting in. You can simply be yourself without reference to the group. The pressure lifts. The tension eases. You can breathe. This does not mean you hate people or society. Many who love staying home have rich relationships and genuine care for others, but they need the break. They need regular periods of separation from the collective so they can remember who they are apart from it. Jung would say this is healthy. It would say that the individual who maintains some distance from the collective is actually in a better position to contribute to it. Because they have not lost themselves, they have something real to offer. Because they have maintained their own center, they can engage with the world from a position of strength rather than weakness. The danger is isolation that becomes total. The danger is withdrawing so completely that you lose all connection with humanity. But loving your home does not mean that kind of extreme withdrawal. It means balance. It means having a sanctuary to return to. It means protecting your individuality while still remaining part of the larger human story. This is your sixth unusual trait. You have a complicated relationship with the collective. You are not a joiner by nature. You are not easily swept up in group enthusiasms or mass movements. You think for yourself, even when it makes you uncomfortable. And home is the place where you can exercise this independence without consequence, where you can be fully yourself without the pressure to conform. Trait 7. You are in touch with something deeper. Now we come to the deepest trait of all, the one that underlies and unifies everything else we have discussed. If you love staying home, if you are drawn to solitude, if you find peace in quiet and overwhelm in noise, there is something in you that is reaching for something deeper, something beyond the surface of everyday life, something that cannot be found in parties or shopping malls or endless social media scrolling, something that only reveals itself in stillness. Jung called this the self, and he distinguished it from the ego. The ego is your conscious identity, your name, your roles, your beliefs, your everyday sense of who you are. The ego is necessary and important, but it is not the deepest part of you. The self is the center of your total psyche, conscious and unconscious alike. It is the organizing principle of your entire being. It is who you are at the most fundamental level, beyond all the masks and roles and identities. It is, in a sense, your soul. Most people live entirely in the ego. They are identified with their conscious personality and completely unaware of the deeper layers beneath. They live on the surface of themselves, never suspecting the vast depths that lie below. But some people feel the pull of the self. They sense that there is more to them than their everyday identity. They're drawn toward depth, toward meaning, toward the inner world. They cannot be satisfied with surface living. Something in them demands more. If you love staying home, you may be one of these people. Your attraction to solitude may not be simply about rest or energy management. It may be about something sacred, about the soul's need to commune with itself, about the self calling you inward. This is not mystical nonsense. Jung was a scientist, a doctor, a rigorous thinker. But he recognized that the human psyche has dimensions that go beyond what conventional science can measure. He recognized that there are experiences of depth, of meaning, of connection that are as real as anything in the physical world. And he recognized that these experiences require a certain kind of attention that is very difficult to maintain in the midst of a busy, noisy life. Home becomes a temple, not in any formal religious sense, but in the sense that it is a place set apart for communion with something deeper. When you sit quietly in your living room, you are not just resting. You are creating space for the deeper parts of yourself to emerge. You are listening for the whisper of the self, and sometimes you hear it. Sometimes in the silence, something speaks to you, an intuition, a feeling, a sudden clarity about what matters and what does not, a sense of connection to something larger than your individual life. These moments cannot be forced or manufactured. They can only be received, and they can only be received when you are still enough to receive them. This is what the great contemplatives have always known. This is why every spiritual tradition includes practices of silence and solitude. Not because the world is bad, but because the deepest truths cannot be heard above the noise. Not because people should be avoided, but because the soul needs time alone with itself. If you love staying home, you are following an ancient path, even if you do not know it. You are heeding a call that has been heard by seekers and sages throughout human history. You are creating the conditions for something sacred to emerge. This is your seventh and deepest trait. You are in touch with something deeper. You may not have words for it. You may not practice any formal religion or spirituality, but something in you knows that there is more to life than meets the eye, and you are drawn to the conditions under which that something more can reveal itself. Your home is not just a building, it is a sanctuary, a refuge, a sacred space. It is the place where you meet yourself at the deepest level, and that meeting is one of the most important things a human being can do, the integration, bringing it all together. We have now explored 7 unusual traits that define people who love staying home. Let's see them together. You have an unusually rich inner world that provides endless fascination and meaning. You are deeply protective of your energy and understand that psychic resources must be guarded and renewed. You have a strong connection to your authentic self because solitude provides the conditions for self-discovery. You are highly sensitive to your environment and need a space you can control in order to thrive. You have a natural tendency toward reflection and meaning-making that requires silence and stillness. You have a complicated relationship with the collective, maintaining your individuality against the pressure to conform. You are in touch with something deeper, something that can only be accessed in quiet communion with yourself. These traits are not separate. They are interconnected, each one flowing into the others, each one supporting and reinforcing the rest. Together they paint a portrait of a certain kind of person, not a defective person, not a broken person, but a person whose soul works differently than the majority, a person who has gifts that the world needs, even if the world does not always recognize them. And here is the important thing. These traits are not fixed. They can be developed, they can be deepened, they can be more fully integrated into your life. If you recognize yourself in what we have discussed, you have a choice. You can continue to feel vaguely guilty about your love of home, treating it as a weakness to be overcome, or you can embrace it as the gift it is and commit to developing it further. What does that mean practically? It means creating more space in your life for solitude, not less. It means resisting the pressure to be more social than your nature allows. It means setting boundaries and protecting your time at home without apology. It means using your time alone wisely, not just for passive consumption, but for active reflection, for journaling, for thinking about your life, for asking the deep questions, for doing the inner work that only you can do. It means taking your inner world seriously, paying attention to your dreams, listening to your intuitions, exploring the depths of your own psyche with curiosity and respect. It means creating a home environment that truly supports you, a space that is beautiful to you, that calms your sensitive nervous system, that feels like a sanctuary and not just a place to store your belongings. It means accepting your complicated relationship with the collective without feeling guilty about it. You can love humanity and still need significant time away from it. You can be a good person and still find crowds exhausting. These are not contradictions, and it means remaining open to the deeper dimensions of experience. Whatever you call it, whether soul or self or spirit or something else, you have access to depths that many people never explore. That access is precious. It deserves to be honored and cultivated. Before we close, a word of caution. Because every gift has its shadow, and the love of home is no exception. There is healthy solitude, and there is unhealthy isolation. There is listening to your soul, and there is running from your fears. There is protecting your energy, and there is using protection as an excuse to avoid growth. Jung was very clear about this. The unconscious can deceive us. Our desires and preferences can sometimes be expressions of neurosis rather than wisdom. The love of home can become an avoidance of life if we are not careful. So ask yourself honestly, is my time at home nourishing me, or is it allowing me to hide? Am I growing in my solitude, or am I stagnating? Am I choosing to stay home because it serves my soul, or because I am afraid of what is out there? These questions do not have easy answers. They require ongoing self-examination. They require honesty. They require the willingness to see yourself clearly, even when what you see is uncomfortable. The goal is not to become a hermit who never leaves the house. The goal is balance. The goal is to honor your need for solitude while still engaging with the world. The goal is to protect your energy while still spending it on things that matter. The goal is to maintain your authentic self while still connecting genuinely with others. This is the Jungian path of individuation. It is not about choosing inner over outer or solitude over connection. It is about integrating all the parts of yourself into a coherent whole. It is about becoming complete, and completion requires both. It requires time alone and time with others. It requires the inner world and the outer world. It requires home and requires leaving home. The person who only stays home is just as unbalanced as the person who can never be alone. Wholeness lies in the ability to move between both worlds with grace. So love your home. Honor your need for solitude. Protect your energy and cultivate your inner world. But do not let your love of home become a prison. Do not let it cut you off from life. Do not let it become an excuse to stop growing. The deepest purpose of solitude is to prepare you for deeper connection. The deepest purpose of home is to give you a foundation from which to venture out. The deepest purpose of inner work is to make you more capable of outer engagement. Remember this. Hold it alongside everything else we have discussed, and you will find the balance that your soul is seeking. In closing, I want to offer you an image, an archetype from the collective unconscious that Jung might have recognized as deeply relevant to everything we have discussed. Picture an old figure walking alone on a mountain path at night. They carry a lantern in one hand and a staff in the other. They have left the village behind. They have chosen solitude. They are seeking something that can only be found in the wilderness, in the silence, in the darkness. This is the hermit, one of the oldest archetypal images in human consciousness, present in cultures across the world and throughout history. The wise one who withdraws from society to seek deeper truth. The hermit is not a sad figure, not a failure, not someone who could not make it in the social world. The hermit is a seeker, a sage in training, someone who has heard a call that most people cannot hear and has had the courage to follow it. The hermit's lantern represents the light of inner wisdom, the light that can only be discovered in solitude. The staff represents the inner strength developed through years of self-reliance. The mountain path represents the journey inward, away from the collective, toward the heights of self-understanding. If you love staying home, the hermit lives in you. This archetype is active in your psyche. It is guiding you towards something that matters. But remember, the hermit's journey has a purpose. The hermit does not withdraw forever. Eventually, they return. They come back down the mountain with the wisdom they have found. They share their light with others. They use what they have discovered in solitude to enrich the collective. You are on this journey. Your time at home is your time on the mountain. But do not forget that the journey is not complete until you bring something back, until you share what you have found, until your inner work finds expression in the outer world. This is the full arc of individuation. Withdrawal and return, inner work and outer contribution, solitude and connection, home and world. You have not reached the end. None of us have. But you are on the path. And the fact that you love staying home is a sign that you are exactly where you need to be, at least for now. Trust your journey. Honor your needs. Love your home without apology. And know that somewhere deep in your psyche, the wise hermit is nodding in approval, ready to guide you toward everything you are meant to become. Embracing your nature. Perhaps now, at the end of this exploration, something feels different. Perhaps the guilt you have carried about being a homebody has begun to lift. Perhaps you see yourself more clearly than you did before. You are not antisocial. You are not broken. You are not missing out on life by preferring to stay home. You are a particular kind of person with particular gifts and particular needs. You have access to inner resources that many people never develop. You have capacities for depth, for reflection, for self-knowledge that are increasingly rare in our distracted world. This is not a curse. This is a calling. The world needs people like you. It needs people who can go deep rather than always staying on the surface. It needs people who reflect rather than just react. It needs people who maintain their individuality against the pressure of the collective. It needs people who are in touch with something deeper than the noise and chaos of everyday life. These gifts do not flourish in constant activity and stimulation. They flourish in stillness, in silence, in the sanctuary of home. So make your peace with who you are. Stop trying to be someone you are not. Stop feeling guilty about needing what you need. You are not obligated to be an extrovert in a world that celebrates extroversion. You are not obligated to love parties because other people love them. You are not obligated to perform constant sociability because society expects it. You have one life, one soul, one chance to become who you were meant to be, and that becoming requires listening to your own nature rather than the expectations of others. Carl Jung spent his long life exploring the depths of the human soul. He met thousands of patients. He studied myths and dreams and symbols from cultures across the world. And one of the clearest conclusions he reached was this: the path to wholeness is always individual. There is no one-size-fits-all prescription for a good life. There is only the task of discovering what your particular soul needs and having the courage to honor it. If your soul needs home, give it home. If your soul needs silence, give it silence. If your soul needs solitude, give it solitude. And do not apologize. We have come to the end of our journey together. But for you, something new may be beginning. Tonight, when you are home, when the door is closed and the world is shut out, when you are in your favorite spot with the silence settling around you, pay attention. Notice how it feels. Notice the relief, the peace, the sense of coming home, not just to a building, but to yourself. And ask yourself, what does my soul need from me? What is it trying to tell me? What is the deeper purpose of this time alone? The answers may not come immediately. They may not come in words at all. But if you keep asking, if you keep listening, if you keep honoring your need for solitude, something will emerge. Some understanding, some direction, some sense of who you are and what your life is about. This is the gift of staying home. Not just rest, not just recovery, but revelation. The slow, gentle revelation of your own soul to yourself. Embrace it. Trust it. Follow where it leads. If this video has touched something in you, share it with someone who might need to hear it. Someone else who feels strange for loving home. Someone else who carries guilt about needing solitude. Let them know they are not alone in their aloneness. And return here whenever you need a reminder of who you are and why your love of home is not a flaw but a feature. One of the most valuable features your soul possesses. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and most of all, thank you for being exactly who you are. Now go home and feel no shame about it.